This is cs952, Introduction to Web Technologies and Design, and we've wrapped up our form for our contact page. I'm going to clean things up a little bit, just get rid of this extra space. Don't really need that. Don't really need this space here. And let's look and see. I'll hit refresh, and then hit save all. And let's look and see what we have here. So I'm going to go drag out my DOM panel. Okay. So instance editable, all the new content that we've added to our page that's unique to the page, it all goes inside of instance editable. And then inside of that, we have a container, right? We said that when we're using the Bootstrap framework and we're using the responsive components, everything that we have on a page, when we're using the Bootstrap responsive components, sits inside of a container. And we have two different kinds of containers, the standard container or the container fluid. Inside of that we have a row, yes? And then inside of the row we have at least one column. So we have a container, inside of the container we have a row, and then inside of the row we have at least one column, right? And so this is our one column. Then inside of our one column we have our H2 tag, that's the thing that says contact, and then we have our form. And everything that we have for our form has to be inside of this opening and closing form tag. So you'll notice that when we close up the form tag, we don't see anything, right? We've got everything just sitting inside that form tag. And then our form tag is actually made up of I think it's like 6 divs, and they're all members of the class form group. And again, this is a Bootstrap 3 component, this class called form group. It's there to help us style a form. Without this, the page would look very unattractive. So we've got 6 divs. Each div is holding a different element, which I think this is first name, right? Last name, email. Do you want to be on the email list? What were your favorite pages? And then the last div holds the very important submit and reset buttons. So within each of the first several divs we have a label. When we create a form element using Bootstrap, we have a div and then a label and an input. And actually this bit of code, div, label, and input, we saved that in our snippets, right? So we were able to just click and drop this in. So this was first name, then we have last name, and then we have email. Then we have, this is a little bit more complicated, we had, do you want to join our email list? So inside of our div we actually had a field set that wrapped everything up. And then inside of that field set we had the legend that said, do you want to join our email list? And then we had a label and an input, and a label and an input, then that was yes or no. And then we had our check boxes. At check boxes again, we had a field set, we had a legend, and it's got a little bit more complicated, right? Because we had 4 inputs, 1, 2, 3, 4, and our 4 inputs were, the home page, gallery page, history page, and the media page. And then finally we have, at the very end, our 2 submit buttons, right? 2 input buttons. One is the submit button. It's a member of the button class and styled as a primary button. And then we have our reset, also a member of the button class and styled as our button warning. Okay, so let's close up our DOM panel. So that's the structure of our page. Using the DOM panel to look at it, we can see this is what all the code looks like if we go through all the code. Now I'm going to switch back to live view, and what I'd like to do is actually fill this form out and see how it works, right? So I'm going to go and preview in Chrome, and here is our form in Chrome. Nice looking form. Bootstrap is doing all the styling for us. Now if we just hit send us a note, the first thing we get is a warning telling us we need to fill this field out, okay? Because this is the first field that we have and it's required. Now I'm going to hit the tab key on the keyboard once, and what happens? I go to last name. Why? Because we gave it a tab index of 2. I'm going to hit tab again. Now it goes to email, right? Because that's tab index 3. I'm going to hit tab again, and now yes is selected, right? Because that's a radio button, and we gave it a tab index of 4. Now if I hit again, we go to home, again 5, again history, again media. This is why we put in those tab index values. If I hit the button again, now we can see that send us a note is highlighted, and if I hit it again, then it takes us back to reset. I think if we hit one more time, it actually goes to the top of the web page. And now here we are. So for the first name, I'm going to type in, I'll type in Jose Garcia, right? He's our fictitious student. And then for the last name, Garcia. And maybe I'll type in for the email Jose g@student.wlac.edu. I'm not really sure what the email address would be. Of course, Jose would like to be on our email list. And Jose liked the home page. And you know what? Jose liked all the pages. He just liked the website. So now if I click on reset, it's going to reset all these fields. Okay? So we'll do this one more time. Jose, Garcia, and we said Jose g@student.wlac.edu. And then, yeah, Jose liked all of them, so I'm going to click all 4 of these. And when we hit submit, the information that we filled out on this page will be posted to a page that's on our student website. So let's see what happens. So this is what we get. The Humble Pencil. Thanks for sharing your interest in the amazing Humble Pencil. Jose Garcia, there's the email address. Check mark. Thanks for joining our email list. And then you selected 4 favorites. Your message has been sent. Thank you, Jose Garcia. And if you like this and you want to learn, well, how do I create my own page when someone selects an email, then you need to sign up for cs958, and you can learn how to program in PHP, because this page was actually programmed in PHP, meaning that when the page was submitted to the server, the server actually ran a little program and figured out, you know, what was the name, what was the email, what items were selected, and then displayed the page accordingly. So this is everything you need to know about making an exciting form with Bootstrap. So I'm going to momentarily rename my CSS folder to ZZSS. And if I do that, the files that are inside of this folder will not be found. The web page, when it loads, is going to look for those CSS files, and it will not be able to find them. So what happens? What would our page look like if we did not have Bootstrap to help us out? So I'm just going to refresh the page, and this is what our page looks like without Bootstrap. Now, our contact form would still work, actually. We can still fill in all the information, and our email, our links up here would still work. I can still go to the history page. That's our history page. This is our gallery page. This is what our home page looks like. All right, and we want to go back to our contact page. I'm going to navigate back to our contact page. So this is what the page would look like if we didn't have Bootstrap to help us out. It's not looking too good, but we could still fill it out. I could still type in Jose, and I could still type in Garcia, and we said Jose g@student.wlac.edu, and this time he's not going to want to be on the email list, and he's not going to select any pages to visit again, and we'll click send us a note, and we can see the page still loads up. What does a web page look like when we don't have Bootstrap to help us out? So it looks pretty sad. Let's go back, and I'm going to rename my CSS folder to what it should be, and let's refresh this page. There we go. That's what we're talking about. Okay, so the last thing I need to do is to hook up our navigation. We don't actually have a link to this page. We got to this contact page by previewing it from Dreamweaver, but this button over here says email. This generates an email. It doesn't actually, there's no way to get to this contact page. There is no way to get to this contact page. If you go to our site, if you're on the home page, or you go to the gallery page, or you go to the history page, there is no link to our contact page. I have no way to get back to my contact page. So let's fix that. How do we do that? We need to change our template, right? Because anytime we make a change that affects all the pages, that change is always made from our template. If you decide to do the extra credit, which is adding another page to the website, this is what you are going to need to do. Different ways I could do this. I could go to Design View, and I can double click on the word email, okay? And right now it says this is a link to, right now this is an email link. We want to change it to a link to our contact page. So I'm going to choose Browse for File, and I'm going to select Contact, okay? There we go. Now I want to change the name email, and I'm going to double click, and I want to make sure that I don't delete all the text. Trust me on this, you want to leave at least one letter there. See that capital E? It is very risky to delete the whole word email because you can inadvertently delete the entire anchor. You can delete all the code. And because Dreamweaver is trying to visually render to you what's going on, it won't render to you a message that says you want to delete the entire anchor. So I've got my cursor just after the capital E. Here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to hit the delete key, not the backspace key, but the forward delete key until all I have left is that capital E. And I'm going to type contact, C-O-N-T-A-C-T. Now I'm going to back up using my left arrow key, and now I'm going to hit the backspace key and delete that capital E. So now it says contact. Alrighty? Let's switch back here. There are other ways we could do this if this seems a little too tricky to you. If we switch to code view, you can see this is the change that we made. This is our text contact, and it's inside of an anchor. If I click on the anchor, we could see that we're linking to our contact page. Yep. If I switch to live view, we can see now it says contact over here on the far right hand side. Perfect. So what am I going to do? I'm going to hit save all, and Dreamweaver says, do you want to update all files based on this template? And as always, the answer is most certainly update. Dreamweaver updates all the pages on our site. We can close update pages. Now I'm going to preview in Chrome. Now we're talking. If I click on the pencil or I click on my home icon, it takes me to the home. I can go to my gallery. I can click on more. I can go to history, right? I don't have my media page set yet, and coming soon, we're saving that for another day when we want to add another page to our site. But I can click on my contact button. When I click on that, we get our contact form again. This is everything that we need to do with our contact form. We added in all of our contact elements, we connected it so that it actually posts the information, and then we went back after we added a new page to our site. We linked up that page to our navigation so that we can actually get to that page from our navigation. And this concludes this module. We're going to work on our media page, and that will be the last significant page we'll be adding to our website.